They look like nothing you've ever seen before. I'm not even sure I'm right in calling them a drone. They looked like they were fixed wing aircraft. They had multiple, blinking lights. They did not look anything like a plane, because there's plenty of planes flying overhead. Like tonight, they're not here. We're seeing just planes. Last night was totally different. They look creepy, and they move at a different pace. We tried to even follow a couple. They went off in the distance and disappeared. It's completely rewired my brain on this topic, and I'm a believer, and we need answers, and we don't have answers, and we need someone to step up and say, here is what's going on.
Scott, you are in Tennessee, so you're in a different area where we haven't heard as much about this. Tell us about your sighting.
Mine's a lot different. Mine don't look like what you're showing there at all. These things are round. The ones that I saw were round.
So what's happening here? Well, he's saying there's two different things they're seeing. One is a fixed wing, a craft that's going a lot faster than you can on the ground. And he says they don't look like planes. They look strange. Something else is happening here. These things are drones, and they're staying in the sky for hours. And then the other guy says, I'm not seeing any wings on mine. I'm seeing, basically what he's saying, I'm seeing fireballs in the sky. That's what everyone kind of describes it as. These giant round things that look like they're on fire, except they're not falling down to the ground. They're floating around like bubbles in the sky. And so there's two things that people are seeing here. And to be honest with you, I think that there is something going on that is connecting these. And that's been my and I'm having a real hard time making a statement about this, knowing that just in a couple of days, Trump is going to either say some cover story or is going to actually tell us the truth about this stuff, because I hate to mislead anybody. But it seems to me that if people are seeing these things in the sky and the government says, well, let's figure out what these are and try to take them down, at least figure out what they are, then we should put things up there in the sky to try to watch them. It's either that, or they're very concerned about the Russian thing that's happening right now, and they're mapping. If you look at some of the ways that these flights are flying around, I can show you how they're mapping the ground, and they're not necessarily looking for a specific signature, but they're making sure that they know that if things do go awry between Russia or China and the US, that at least we know what's in our country coming out of our ports and things like that, from our borders. And so oftentimes, and I can play this other clip, but before I do, I'm going to give it over to you while I try to find this clip. There is a whole arm of the Department of Energy that just has planes that go into the sky before major events like Super Bowls, before major events like inaugurations, and they go and they scan the area for signature weapons. I don't know how they do this. They have special sensors, but I have a clip that shows this. And they scan the area to make sure that when they scan it the first time, they take a base map of it, and then they scan it a second time to just before the actual thing to see if there's anything that has changed between them. That could also be what's happening with these drones, and people are just dying about this stuff right now and wondering what this is. But I'll show you that clip. What do you think, James?
I think definitely there's some knowledge that the government have that we don't know about. I think that's a fact. But I think they know very well what's going on with these drones. What's these doctors I've listened to? Dr. Greer. I'm sure you're familiar with Dr. Greer, right? So I don't want to spoil it if you have anything coming from him, but he made some remarks that I thought was very, very thoughtful. Although I don't agree with everything he said, but he's got some very strong position when it comes to this. So I would say, I don't want to go ahead. I don't want to spoil it here, but I will say that's a person to also consider on your list if you're trying to understand what's really going on here. But I'm still very interested in that. But also, it seems to me these drones have a level of technology that is not that we don't know much about. Like the fact they can stay in the sky for so long, it makes you wonder about the source of their energy, what is happening. Like, do we have other things that might be contributing to even them flying in the way that they are? And some of them move in a way that is not very, should I say, drones' way of moving. It seems like there's a mixture of both drones and other things going on there as well. That's why I'm very curious, and that's why you're here, Bradley. I'm trying to put it together.
Yeah, and I agree. So I've done a lot of research on Stephen Greer. He's actually Dr. Stephen Greer, and Dr. Stephen Greer has the true deception memorized, and I say that because he's very knowledgeable about what he's saying, and if you try to take what he says, I'm not saying he's right or wrong about the drones. What I'm saying is that when it comes to understanding the phenomenon that's happening in the sky, he is believing that it's benevolent. He's believing that you can communicate with it through meditation. He's believing he's getting people together to kumbaya this thing. He is 100% believing everything this NHI stuff is telling him. And so in that way, to understand this, to understand what's going on with Stephen Greer, you got to filter it through a screen and say, he knows what's going on, but not the truth. You know what I mean? And so he's, if there's anyone that is more deceived by this, it's Stephen Greer. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's multi-level deception here.
Absolutely. And I think you can get a nugget of truth from different people. But what I noticed with Stephen Greer, he doesn't pass the test of spiritualism for me, right? I will say Ecclesiastes 9 verse 5, the living know that they shall die, but the dead know not anything. He fails that test miserably. So therefore, everything else that's coming from there is very questionable. But what I like is the source that he speaks about, the source of where this might be coming from. Although he doesn't say what it is, he tells you where you can look for this type of activity. And one thing he also shows in his interview, he was sharing how even the United States, the president of the United States, may not even fully understand what's happening here. Like it's darker than that. And I was like, that there might be some truth to that as well. So yeah.
I believe that. They've often said that the president is a temporary employee, and some of these long 40, 50-year employees of the government that are generals in the government, they probably know a little bit more about what's going on in the government than the president does, because he's got to need to know. And if it doesn't come up, then he doesn't need to know because he's got other priorities on his plate. But there's one thing that I think I want to point everyone to, because it's too long of a video. I'm not going to show it on your channel. It's actually on another YouTube channel. There's a highly produced YouTube channel called Omletto. And Omletto, it's just like omelet, basically, Omletto. I don't know if it's spelled exactly the same, but they have a very produced short film called The Occupant. I've emailed the writer of this because I think that this is based on. So let me put it this way: when Tom DeLonge came out with this and started this whole thing, I made a documentary on it called Starfall. One of the things that I brought out in the documentary was that he said in podcasts that since he was told a bunch of classified information, he can't reveal that information directly as a source, even though he was told it. So he decided that to skirt around these rules, would write children's fictional novels that revealed it in story form. And he just said this. He said, everything's true in here, but I can't say it's true and tell you the story. So I'm just going to tell you in a fictional form. So we've seen this over and over again as propaganda. Government puts out stuff and kind of seeds the public with ideas. And Tom DeLonge said the same thing. I'm putting out content in the form of novels that has the truth in it. And it's called Secret Machines. And so I'm going to tell you what the government's told me inside these novels. Sometimes that happens. And I'm not saying that he has truth in here. I'm saying that he's probably putting out the narrative or the lie that's happening. But there is bringing it back to drones, there is an Omletto video that is called The Occupant. And it's based in Russia. And it's about a young remote pilot that's piloting a nuclear drone. And the reason why they're piloting this nuclear drone is they're trying to attract the UAP, which is this light in the sky that they think is some technology that they can use. And so what they found, this is a great video. It really is. It talks about how when they attracted this thing, suddenly her commander starts talking to her and telling her that she needs to take the nuclear plane and crash it into the base. And it sounds just like him. It sounds just like him. And she is just really torn. It's the climax of the story because she is just, do I crash this thing according to orders? Am I going to get shot if I don't do this according to orders? Am I doing something wrong? She pulls up on it and doesn't crash it. Or she crashes it, but it doesn't explode or anything off in the field. And she hides inside her capsule, and they had to cut her out of it. And he says, I don't know what happened, but this thing was pretending to be me.
Wow.
So it is a fascinating story, I believe. I haven't confirmed this yet, but I believe it's probably based on some military story about them trying to track these strange UAP objects that we know are demonic entities. And it's just, he said in the story, he said, this thing has been one step ahead of us the whole time. We don't know why we can't get this thing. So it goes on and on, but it actually brings me to tears every time because I'm like, this is a demonic deception.
Yeah,
and
a familiar spirit. Is that simple of a thing? This is Deuteronomy chapter 18 all over again.
Yeah. So this is one of the things that I think it could be. It could be absolutely a UAP that they're seeing up here above New Jersey. It could be that they're actually just the government trying to attract these things using its nuclear drones that can go pretty quick and reach these things. Don't know. I'm very fascinating, and we're going to be doing that topic on my channel when we find out, because Trump's going to perhaps reveal it. So I don't know. We'll see.
I'm excited to see where this is going, But we are told great changes are soon to take place in our world, and that the final movements will be rapid ones. So let's see where this is going.
Absolute. Mm-hmm. That's all I got, James.
Oh man, this was amazing. I just want to say thank you. Praise the Lord. This was you put a lot of things together here for me that some of it I've heard about, some of them you were able to connect the dots in a way that I haven't seen done. So I've had short clips, little video here and now, but man, this is amazing. Again, I want to say everybody who's watching this video right now, if you have not subscribed to Strange Normal, you need to go and do that because, and there's also was it the Starfall? Is that the
Starfallmovie.com?
The Starfallmovie.com is an amazing documentary. I will make reference to that. I've used some of that in my sermons. You have no idea. A lot of your content goes into many of my videos and discussions, and so we don't say thank you, Bradley, for sharing this with us. So if anybody's watching right now, do you have a question for Bradley? And I'm opening up the floor for that. So if you have any question that you want to ask about the topic that was just discussed, this is a good time to do so. Let me know what your question might be. Okay, let's see.
I got plenty of time, and so if you want to,
I know you do have to get going, but yeah. Okay, aren't we told that God's judgment will befall men at the end? Sure. Okay, I want a specific question for Bradley if you guys have anything at the moment, so we'll give it a minute. Yeah, this is very interesting stuff, man, you got going on here. So please don't forget to share that document with me from Prezi. I'm very interested to look at these videos and re-examine them. I've done a study on spiritualism on your channel before. So some of the dots, I got into the theological nature of it so much more, but you're able to combine that really, really well with videos. It's an eye-opener. It really is, man. This is powerful.
It's remarkable. And I'm in the future, we're going to get into the Catholic Church a little bit deeper, because I believe, actually, I know I have a couple sources that have come to me from other countries that say they have talked directly to the Vatican, and they said, we know that for sure the Vatican is going to step out and say something about that this year. And we're telling you, we said we can't say much about it yet, but they're going to play a significant role in this spiritualism that's going to happen here pretty soon. So stay tuned.
Yeah, I might as well go to the head. There's a lot of that nature worship and ancestor worship, the deification of popes and so on, this, saints worship and all that. It's a perfect place for spiritualism. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.